All right, now we have we've reacted to a IGN overview of the game. I have a general idea of what I'm getting into for FF14. Now I'm going to check out a crap guide to FF14. We got a bunch of little videos here for different I guess subsets of classes is what we're calling them. Or I already forgot the name of it. In the game, and hopefully this is kind of a lighthearted way to get my feet further wet with the mechanics or the details of the game. So Jobs, thank you, Jobs. I guess it's just Jobs.
What up, warriors of fartness? I bet you don't have the slightest clue how to play this eyeball-melting anime game. Oh, sure, you probably know that you can beat up enemies by clicking on them until they die, but do you know how to find a static in your FC to help you prog uwu? I bet you don't even know what any of those words mean, so sit down, shut up, and eat your gizzle greens, because I'm gonna teach you what thee mayhap not knoweth, thy noobliness. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
What the? Is this not from Monster Hunter?
The tank is the person in the front lines of every group, leading the charge to inevitable party wipes, which is because you are the most important person in the party, having slap fights with the boss since everybody else is way too squishy to handle the puss-pounding patty cake.
Okay, I guess it's including Dragoon. Oh, by the way, current bias right now is Dragoon for what I want to head towards. So I guess that's Lancer, then it becomes Dragoon. We call the tank DPS healer designations roles. Okay. Thank you.
You'll never see Jimmy's soft boots eyeing up the cloud of darkness with his 2x4 and to handle the puss-pounding patty. You are the most important person in the party, having slap fights with the boss since everybody else is way too squishy to handle the puss-pounding patty cake. You'll never see Jimmy's soft boots eyeing up the cloud of darkness with his 2x4 and scriggly.
You're a Waddle, you're a tank? That's awesome. Okay.
Tree branch. But how hard can tanking be? Turn on your tank stance, do your 1-2-3 combo, and blame the healers when you die, right? That sounds like somebody who needs their short Q privileges revoked. Firstly, tank stance. You turn this on to start gaining enmity. What's enmity? It's where you shout at the bad guys, "Hey, hit me!" They'll be paying attention to you so
it's aggro.
long as you're dealing damage, so you better be dealing damage and not just having a staring contest.
Oh, they hit you as long as you're dealing damage.
Paying attention to you so long as you're dealing damage, so you better be dealing damage and not just having a staring contest.
I think in other RPGs I've played, it's a status you like cast on them.
If you don't, then they're going to start indiscriminately charging at the rest of the party like a dog in a movie theater. If you are the designated main tank, or in light parties the only tank, make sure this is on. If there is another tank in the party and you are the
make sure what's on.
Or in light parties the only tank, make sure this
these, I guess,
is on. If there is another tank in the party and you are the off tank, make sure this is off, unless there's some other bad guys you gotta pull. If you have conflicting stances with the other tank, they will chuck their shoulder pads at you. As a tank, you should make sure the bad guy's ass is facing the party as often as possible, as indicated by the bright glowing half-eaten donut underneath the target. This is so that if the bad guy sneezes, you're the only one.
What the? This is fucking cool, man. Some of these bosses look really cool.
One getting down with the sickness. And also, if your party has anyone playing any jobs that particularly likes to clap them cheeks, you've provided a bright, shiny spanking space. On top of this, as
so Dragoon is the cheek clapping
a tank, you are by Heidelin's blessings horrible at dancing, which is why you should move as little as possible once you've got the enemy's attention. That way the party can continue to whap the wumpus without having to chase down the bad guy's glorious booty. Just as well, because you have control of where the baddies are, you control how useful everybody else is. So if somebody puts down a useful AoE, stop fucking running away from it. Now that you have the baddie's attention and are in a nice cozy poking position, you don't have to worry
oh my god,
about anything else, right? That's what
boss, that was a trash mob. Okay, well then the trash mobs look cool.
I thought you'd say, you dumb fucking horse. Believe it or not, when you die, it's not entirely the healer's fault, just mostly their fault. That little bit of responsibility you have is based on how well you can juggle mitigation. What's mitigation? It's the buttons that make the bad guy's slaps hurt less that you sometimes press once a subscription and never think about again. You ever wonder why you have several of those buttons that all seem like they do the same thing? Well, that's because you're supposed to space them out over the course of a fight so the healers don't have to sacrifice their entire mana pool and firstborn child to get your frail ass through the dungeon. Remember not to bust your tanking load all at once, or else you're gonna feel a lot of shame when you're all out of juice and the boss still wants to go about 4 more rounds. Every tank also has a press X to not die button that can be used to survive any devastating attacks, or if you're a really aggressive paladin who drew every enemy in a dungeon ever and don't want the healer to hire a hitman on you. As for what your limit break does, tanks are thicker than the average Disney mom.
You have limit breaks in this game? Like in FF7? That's another FF game I played, was FF7 Remake. I still gotta do rebirth.
Your honky chonky donkey bahonky extends to the rest of the party, protecting them from damage up to a whopping 80% at LB3. The thing is, unless you're a high-end player, you'll probably be using tank LB as frequently as a good player rolls high on loot. Overall, you have 4 flavors to choose from: punk, grunge, metal, and Christian rock. There's warrior for big axes, big anger, big self-healing, and if you like to do fell cleaves again and again and again.
Oh yeah, that's right. So these are roles, so it's several different classes.
Big axes, big anger, big self-healing, and if you like to do fell cleaves again and Christian rock. There's warrior for big axes, big anger, big self-healing, and if you like to do fell cleaves again and again and again and again. If you prefer more brooding than cruding, the Dark Knight is great for doing your best guts impression. You get a huge ass sword, goopy black energy particle effects, and the literal best mitigation in the entire game. But it's balanced because they get the worst invulnerability button in the entire game. You press it and then it makes you die. Gunbreaker is called a tank, but everybody knows. What? It's just 3 DPS in a trench coat.
Gunbreaker? Is this the gun
Press
lance?
it and then it makes you die. Gunbreaker is called a tank, but everybody knows it's just 3 DPS in a trench coat, as designated by the fact you get a fucking gun and your swings explode. But you have to be a hardcore gamer since it requires a lot of cartridges. And finally, the Paladin, who tries to pretend they're a healer and caster, but only when the other healers and casters are looking. But fuck all that, because the most important thing is that you get the motherfucking sword and shield, baby! Try getting behind this wall of holiness, bitch! Now you know how to play tank, you're welcome.
Okay. Yes, the die button. This one's a bit outdated. Oh, okay. So which one are you? Which one are you, Waddle? Which of the tanks are you?
I love power and I love feeling powerful. It strokes my biggly wiggly and forces lesser beings to bow down to my awesome might, lest they taste my poop between their gums. Nothing has ever given me the same rush of adrenaline than knowing that everybody has to submit to my whims for their own safety.
Why is my YouTube wasn't responding for a second. The edgy one? Oh, of course. Nice. That looks. They look cool. I think for me, for tanks, I personally don't want to have that responsibility of managing the monster. I'm gonna leave that for Monster Hunter, where I need to manage the monster or manage the boss. But it looks cool.
I love power and I love feeling powerful. It strokes my biggly wiggly and forces lesser beings to bow down to my awesome might, lest they taste my boot between their gums. Nothing has
and Lucian's a gunbreaker main. Okay.
ever given me the same rush of adrenaline than knowing that everybody has to submit to my whims for their own safety. It makes my brain do the goody good chemicals and allows me to feel as though I have control over this truly unfortunate reality that the universe is slowly careening into an eventual heat death, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, as we are inconsequential specks in this cruel and uncaring universe. But none of that
my existentialism.
That matters, because look at this. I can pull my party members into a pit that kills them. I find that hilarious. Welcome to a crap guide.
That is cool. Hold on. That is cool.
That matters, because look at this. I can pull my party members into a pit that kills them. I find that hilarious.
You can kill your party members.
Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
Tanking is real easy. It isn't as bad as it may look. Okay.
The greatest power of all is the power to have control over people's lives, which is why the healer is the most likely party member to have a god complex, right behind main tanks, mentors, and anybody who's an omnicrafter. You are the most important person in the party, as you, along with the tank, are responsible for keeping the party alive by kissing their boo-boos and slapping the bitch who made the boo-boo. That's right, as a healer, you do have to deal damage as well. Man, but it's called a healer, and healers are supposed to heal, right? Wrong! A healer's job is not necessarily to heal the party, but rather to keep them alive. And yes, there's a difference. There's gonna be a lot of downtime between heals, and you bet your afflatus rumpus that you're making the fight take longer than it has to if you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for your next chance to cast Cure. What do you do when the party's full health? What do you do when the party's full health? Or even halfway up and standing? TPS the bad guys. No, I don't pay your sub. But when the fight takes too long, it starts to rub all up on everybody's nerves. And when you hit endgame, it serves you right when the boss will wipe the party cause you couldn't beat Enrage. Sure, you're for the most part keeping the party alive with a variety of healing utilities.
Okay, I get the gist of that. That's kind of funny. I never thought of that. Yeah, I guess they should be DPSing. In other games, the healer seems like I feel like they have just an inconsequential amount of DPS. I guess maybe in Wilds or in Monster Hunter, the hunting horn, you would want to be DPSing, I guess. Healer's what looks scary and hard to me. Yeah. I've killed several people in that exact hole. That's, oh my God. I'm a main tank, mentor, and an Omnicrafter.
Rub all up on everybody's nerves, and when you hit endgame, it serves you right. When the boss will wipe the party, cause you couldn't beat and rage. Sure, you're for the most part keeping the party alive with a variety of healing, utility spells, some regen, some shields, but an equal amount of time you're casting those, you're also throwing in some extra DPS when time allows. Remember, DPSing is just mitigating future damage, and if you're able to kill the current wave of dungeon mobs before they deplete the tank's HP, which by the way is going to regen to full by the time you reach the next mob pull anyway, what does it matter how low their HP gets? So yes, DPS when time allows. When does time allow? Well, I know you're scared of independence and thinking by yourself, but that's going to be a balancing act you'll have to figure out. However, my rule of thumb is the minimum amount of HP a party member has to be at is 1. But if that's too scary for your little fingies, ask yourself, will the enemy's next attack make your party member fall on their ass? If yes, heal so that it doesn't. If no, time to become a glare mage, motherfucker. As long as they're alive and you're clearing the content, you're doing your job right. There is one caveat to doing your job right, and that's that everybody will hate you for it. Literally, by healing you start to generate a lot of aggro from the bad guys, so if you ever decide to heal before mob pulls in dungeons, it's important to stick close to the tank like an ERPer sticks to Vieira's wearing 2B thigh highs. Especially if you throw on a regen and suddenly 800 mobs crash through the wall with a How to Fry Fairies cookbook. You can still do it, but you should know what you're getting into. Like live streaming and hoping that anybody will watch. As for your limit break, we heard you like healing, so we put more healing in your healing so you can heal while you heal. Unfortunately, you won't be using any limit break aside from LB3 because LB1 and 2 just heal the party, and you already have plenty of band-aids and popsicles to do that on your own. LB3, however, is
Some of these dungeons look really cool.
so potent in healing it resurrects everybody in the party back from the dead instantaneously. But they will have to do the thriller afterwards, so it's best to be safe for when you at least have in the party of band-aids and ping any limit. We heard you like healing, so we put more healing in your healing too. Like live streaming and hoping that anybody will watch. As for your limit break, we heard you like healing, so we put more healing in your healing so you can heal while you heal. Unfortunately, you won't be using any limit break aside from LB3 because LB1 and 2 just heal the party, and you already have plenty of band-aids and popsicles to do that on your own. LB3, however, is so potent in healing it resurrects everybody in the party back from the dead instantaneously. But they will have to do the thriller afterwards, so it's best to be safe for when you at least have enough people to make a backup dancing crew. For the flavors of healer, we have 3 boomers and the new kid on the block who bought a Glock and has a TikTok. The white mage is the most straightforward. You heal when a buddy is hurt and you attack when they're not. Just about everything in your arsenal is all about feeding them so much it'll make an inflation artist blush in embarrassment. You're also equipped with the best AoE skill in the entire game and the ability to never run out of mana unless you're really, really bad. Best of all, when your buddies get hurt, you can heal them to harness their blood for the blood lily. But let's say you want to play white mage, but you like tarot readings and star signs like a suburban woman in her mid to late 20s. Astrologian is probably for you. You draw cards that will enhance the abilities of your party members and you fill the arena with enough space dust and constellations that you'll need.
Oh, we have a tarot themed one. Like in a Clair Obscure, except that one was much more DPS.
That will enhance the abilities of your party members, and you fill the arena with enough space dust and constellations that you'll need 5 layers of sunglasses to see. Taking this job
I want to hate it conceptually, but aesthetically it looks pretty dope.
will also teach you how to build a bomb. Don't worry, it's friendly. Scholar is a weirdo who used to hang out with all the bad DPS kids, but decided to turn their life around when they met a nice girl who supports them in their new hobby. Only problem is she knows nothing about your hobby, and you have to keep correcting her on fandom trivia. They're all about putting shields and defensive buffs that protect the party from taking damage in the first place. That way they can guess what? DPS even more. Also, your girlfriend can get thick. And finally, the new kid on the block, the Sage. A scholar who...
The Scholar just has like a Tinkerbell girlfriend companion. Oh. So this is like if you want to dress as a boy, but you still want to see a hot chick on the screen.
Thick. And finally, the new kid on the block, the Sage. A scholar who decided to stop being nice and pick up a...
They destroyed Astra's kit with a bad update. Now it has the major button bloat and the heal potency is kind of meh. What did I miss anyway? We did tanks and now we're doing healers for Crap Guide to Final Fantasy.
Gun that shoots lasers. Like
Wait,
Sage,
what?
a scholar who decided to so your girlfriend can get thick. And finally, the new kid on the block, the Sage. A scholar who decided to stop being nice and pick up a gun that shoots lasers. Like Scholar, they also put shields and protective buffs.
I'm
and
sorry,
pick up
what
a
is this?
thick.
What is this class
And
called?
finally, the new kid on the block, the Sage. A scholar who decided to stop
Sage.
being nice and
Okay.
pick up a gun that shoots lasers. Like Scholar, they also put shields and protective buffs on their party members so they can spend more time shooting lasers. How do they
Okay.
do this? After seeing Alphino change to the job, my guess is the Nullis are liquefied carbuncles. Rest in peace, Carby. And now you know how to play healer. You're welcome.
It's that last one looked pretty cool. Seemed pretty cool. Yeah, this was probably not for me, but it doesn't sound too bad, you know. But I don't think I want to be a healer. Okay. All right. Now we're getting into melee DPS. So what, we're going to have melee DPS and DPS and range DPS. Okay, the rest is all DPS. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Let's get this going. All right. Jeff the Sage just doesn't have a good ring to it. No, it doesn't. I think for me it would be like White Mage, maybe. White Mage seemed doable. So, I'm kind of like a White Mage. I'm kind of like a White Mage. That's kind of me. That's a good way to describe me. Highly recommend trying everything. You may find something you like. Yeah.
Everyone always says you should be a team player, but honestly, I've always felt like the best way to help the team is by crushing whatever obstacle that's in the way with my heavily toned squat receipts. So that's it. No more playing for anybody else. I play for me, baby. Any reason the raid wipes from now on is no...
Imagine being a Black Mage, says Black Mage 666 XP.
Honestly, I've always felt like the best way to help the team is by crushing whatever obstacle that's in the way with my heavily toned squat receipts. So that's it. No more playing for anybody else. I play for me, baby. Any reason the raid wipes from now on is no longer my fault. I only exist to make big numbers fly towards the screen and watch my skill bar light up like a Christmas tree at a rave party. And you bet your precious patoot the progress preventers will be promptly pounded because this potent projector of pain will be peppering those beasties until your pack is paved with enough resulting pellets that every peddler will pray to be pampered by a more palatable pacifist. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy. Being a DPS is like being the king of capitalism, because the way you play, taking care of others, is for bitches. Pay no attention to anybody else.
I'm sold.
Being the king of capitalism, because the way you play, taking care of others, is for bitches. Pay no attention to anybody else's well-being unless it directly affects you, and so long as you're alive and safe, you can act like anything bad that happens around you is probably not your fault.
Dude, this is just how I played Monster Hunter when I was bad at the beginning. That's perfect for me.
That brain power instead will be put towards what really matters, your complicated as shit damage rotation. That's right, step aside tanks 1, 2, 3 and healers 2 damage buttons. These are where the big guys and gals play. Or at least that's what they like to tell themselves, since one of the only party utilities they have to worry about is pressing the faint button once in a blue moon. Their hotbar will more often have the only party utilities they have to worry about is pressing the faint button.
Lowers targets physical damage by 10% and magical damage by 5%. Oh, okay, that's our contribution to the status effects or whatever. To the what is it called? CC?
Once in a blue moon. Their hotbar will more often have dozens of buttons all dedicated to big damage. The melee DPS is the most important person in the party. As
want to watch me get Vuln for a second of uptime? Want to watch me do it again? Featuring Dante from DMC. WASD is completely rubbed off. Okay. LV's boss 3 expansions late. You get a gap closer. You get a gap, and you get a gap closer.
You are the one on the front lines inspecting the bad guy's anus like it's where all the Hrothgar hats are hiding, while avoiding the enemy's sprays of hot, poisonous gamer stink. Not only are you going to be up in their grill, turning their cheeks into a ripe tomato while flip-flopping in and out of danger like you're a politician making pancakes, you're also going to make like an adult film star and learn positionals. Certain attacks in your damage rotation will require you to
what did I just see on my screen?
land them in specific areas around the enemy target, specifically the rear and the flank, in order to deal additional damage. How do you tell where those positions are? By the massive disembodied titty underneath the target. See this nipple? That's the front, where the tank will be sucking on the sweet milkies that are tank busters. Which obviously means this conspicuous ticulus on the opposite end is the rear. What about the flank? That'll be on either side of the enemy. And if you're ever confused as to where each area begins and ends, a useful tip on how to tell is imagine there's a big X dividing each of the quadrants. Or you could just press true north and pretend positionals don't exist like it's an embarrassing memory of that time you did the Gangnam Style at school, unironically. The only time it isn't the case is when the enemy has a full ring without an opening, in which case you won't have to worry about any of that guff, and you can just sit there like an off-tank who's actually having fun. Otherwise, between hopping back and forth in these two spots and running around catching up to the boss whenever the tank feels like doing cardio, your little wall's legs are gonna get so much working out that they'll be thick as the milk from the teats of a whale made of molasses. Which is to say, expect to move a lot. But what if I'm not in the right place for a positional?
I can't wait for you to learn weaving skills like a true gamer. Damn. You saw positionals? Yeah, I saw some kind of positionals.
Or the boss is far away. Just remember the old adage. Always be casting! Even if you're not able to land your positionals, or if the boss is too far away to make a melee attack.
Positionals are slowly being removed from the game, but it's good to make a habit of them anyway.
Be sure to always be pressing your buttons no matter what. Unless you're a monk who has no ranged attack and you have to sit there thinking about how your job will inevitably be reworked yet again in the next patch. However, there is another secret epic gamer option that allows you to maximize the DPS you output at the risk of yourself as well as potentially everybody everybody else, but it's usually the healers. This technique is called greed. The funny thing about AoE markers in Final Fantasy XIV is that they only ever mark you for damage if you are standing in them the moment they go away. This means that if you're fast on your fingers, you can stand there DPSing the bad guy while soaking in their radioactive orange juice until the very last second where you backflip out just as the dropkick of doom skims your fuzzy anime hairs and you don't lose a second of uptime. As I said, however, this is a high risk. If your timing is off and you spend just a millisecond too long, you'll be covered in cheese puffs. You might even die, or in some cases you'll have to suffer a fate worse than having to read the entire 24-hour chat log of Limsa. Damage down.
No.
It's okay. Nobody's going to take away your big damage numbers.
No.
Papa's here to make sure you don't greed too hard if you're not ready, okay?
I don't want to greed too hard.
As the melee DPS, you also have first dibs on limit break against most bosses since yours deals the most damage.
I'm talking the least in this one, which means I'm the most locked in. This is my favorite one so far. Confirmed. I'm still in. I came into this being like, we like Dragoon. I think we're going to be doing at least DPS.
4-hour chat log of Limsa. Damage down.
Basically, Lucian says, basically, if you aren't in positionals as a DPS, you are sat next to the tank and dying or too far away to do meaningful damage. Okay.
It's okay. Nobody's going to take away your big damage numbers. Papa's here to make sure you don't greed too hard if you're not ready, okay? Okay. As the melee DPS, you also have first dibs on limit break against most bosses since yours deals the most damage, specifically when they're single. This is because when you hit the limit break button, you're not actually attacking them, just showing them pictures of a happy, healthy relationship, and nothing hurts more than emotional damage. Just ask Urianger. Yeah. But what are the individual jobs whom of which meleeeth said up-close slappers to thine adversaries? There are 5, and each one is a different flavor of anime and edge. Monk, for those of you who want to go fast, having one of the shortest global cooldowns in the game means you'll be dealing out punches like you're a pissed off caterer at a middle school sock hop. Instead of the traditional combos, each attack puts you in a specific stance. Bird, cat, and monkey. Each one combos into another attack that benefits from each respective stance. Your rotation will be all about swapping stances around more than a kid trying sick moves to impress their crush at a middle.
Is that where they got the idea from oh my gosh, who's the daughter? The younger girl, the daughter or the adopted daughter or whatever in Expedition 33? Is that where they got her stance system from?
School sock hop. You also have perfect balance, which allows you to go freestyle and pick whichever stance you're feeling more at the moment without having to do any of the normal stance setup. If you repeat the same stance...
Mael, thank you, yeah. Mael, because she has stance-based stuff. I don't know if but it's sword-oriented, so it probably came from a different game or something.
3 times during your freestyle, you get a purple token on your stylish moves punch card. And if you do 3 different stances during the freestyle, you get a white one. Do a freestyle with 3 unique moves one more time while you have both the purple and white tokens on your punch.
So it's a breakdancing monk?
Card, and you get to turn it in to make your crush dripping wet with damage because for some reason you get to kick them in the face. The only problem is you are the only melee without a ranged attack to keep your uptime. And although you do have a dash that lets you zip around like Goku on a triple shot Ristretto down blend macchiato, if ever you find yourself without a target to punch during combat, you can call timeout on your buff so they stop moving while you have a little cry because your crush rejected you at the middle school sock hop. Dragoon is probably the most straightforward of the melee classes and the one most...
Yes, the coolest one is also the most straightforward. Let's go.
Your crush rejected you at the middle school sock hop. Dragoon is probably the most straightforward of the melee classes and the one most likely to have a tragic backstory.
He looks... hold on a second. Dude, he looks so dope.
You've got a Guys, 5 Boon is probably the most straightforward of the melee classes and the one most likely...
He looks so dope. Man, guys, I can't tell you, like, running theme in Gaijin Hideout is dragons are awesome. Being a dragon, killing a dragon, wearing a dragon skin, all awesome. Before, I mean, right now we're big on Monster Hunter, but that started with the Elder Dragons, obviously, in Monster Hunter World. That was freaking awesome. And then, of course, Alatreon and Fatalis. Alatreon in particular, big nemesis of the channel. So a lot of dragon interactions there. And then even prior to that, like the game I was maining before that was Dragon's Dogma. Obvious. Goes without saying, very dragon-oriented game. This is good. I mean, I just don't know how we can go with anything other than the Dragoon at this point. You know,
did it have a tragic backstory?
The goat, dear G Pog, stabby stab. That's what you do. It's literally you. That could be you. I think it's gonna be me.
You've got a 5-button combo that swaps between hard slaps and sakura flowers and a handful of buffs that will turn anybody else in the party into your partner in dragon slaying. What kind of dragon slaying? That's up for you to decide, which you'll have plenty of time. You've got a 5-button is probably the most straightforward of the melee classes and the one most likely to have a tragic backstory. You've got a 5-button combo that swaps between hard slaps and sakura flowers and a handful of buffs that will turn anybody else in the party into your partner in dragon slaying. What kind of dragon slaying? That's up for you to decide, which you'll have plenty of time to do while you're suspended 20 moms in the air, dropping in like a scantily clad human airstrike who's got a date with Nidhogg at 5 and a party at the quicksand at 6.
What is
yes,
happening?
Tonga in the room. Dragoon has several damage-dealing jumps necessary to unlocking special attacks in their rotation that will lock you into an animation, which means you're stuck and unable to move out of your location.
You do the jump? Oh, that's awesome.
Unlocking special attacks in their rotation that will lock you into an animation, which means you're stuck and unable to move out of your location while the boss is just about ready to piss all over the floor right before you land. So be wary when using your jumps, lest you fling yourself right into a danger puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke the 14 community has for the class. On the bright side, though,
Wait, so can I avoid like an AoE attack with that?
Puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke. Wary when using your jumps, lest you fling yourself right into a danger puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke the 14.
Just because Dragons die a lot does not mean all of us are floor tanks. Yeah, I died a lot in this one, but not because I am a Dragoon. When the 17k DPS orange parts DRG backflips off a cliff. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. This is gonna be yeah, this is probably gonna be good for stream, if nothing else.
Community has for the class. On the bright side though.
No, kinda. Backflips. Dragoon equals floor tank. Okay. I've done it so many times doing raids, LMAO. That's funny that you could just fly off the stage.
You do get the objectively best job mentor in the form of Ninja is great for people who enjoy American football because
oh, that's our guy. That's our mentor. He's the Azure Dragoon, dude. Let's freaking go. Gravity, your worst enemy. Yeah, I'm just trying to fly. We're just gonna be trying to fly.
Ninja is great for people who enjoy American football because for every 10 seconds of excitement, there's a minute of fuck all. Your rotation is all about fitting every goddamn cooldown you can into a small window of time where you make the enemy take more damage. And on top of that, you also have the ability to live out every weeb's dream and do a bunch of hand gestures to cast magic attacks and also drop down into a low position and run with your arms flopping behind you in the breeze, which Final Fantasy objectively proves.
Oh, I don't know. This is the other one is the dual blades. I main dual blades in Monster Hunter. I was the thief in Dragon's Dogma 2. You Naruto run, you do the Naruto seals. Ooh, we'll need to try
also
this.
Drop down into a low position and run with your arms flopping behind you in the breeze, which Final Fantasy objectively proves makes you go faster. You got 3 hand symbols, and depending on what order you do, you will make a different kind of anime reference. For example, going Chi Tenjin Tenjin Chi Chijin unlocks a secret dark ending of Korean House and causes the enemy to be susceptible to bonus damage. But maybe you're facing a mob of enemies who are immune to A-rank powered life forms, so you'll instead have to go Tenjin Jin Chijin Chijin Ten Chijin Tenchi for 3 seasons of Sonic Underground, which will kick sand into their eyes with how fast you'll be running circles around the slowpokes. More or less, you'll have to
wait, are those actual like combos you need to do?
Studying up on what combos do what, but here's a secret cheat sheet.
Oh my god.
Only the final mudra in the sequence matters. Fuck, it's the skill floor police. Cheese it! Samurai, the job most likely to have it.
Wow. Okay. I think Jeff will enjoy Dragoon/Thief swap. It's a lot of micromanaging, but people make it work. Ninja's real fun, but I think it has given me carpal tunnel. Wow, that's crazy.
Dick measuring contest. Fuck, it's the skill floor police. Cheese it! Samurai, the job most likely to have a dick measuring contest with a black mage. I'd be careful though, their dad works at Square Enix. This weeb is the most selfish of the melees as it provides no utility for the rest of the party and instead acts like the average soccer player, focusing on being the star of the show who gets all the attention, especially when it drops to the floor clutching its knee when somebody sneezes on them. Your attacks contribute to a
Okay, the one concern I have with the Dragoon is like if we're just going to be doing a bunch of silly jumps, like I don't know if I like that more than some of these others in terms of combat. Jumps without benefit, I guess. But he looks so cool. He's just so awful. But I don't know. I could try it. He just looks so cool, though. I don't know. Some of these look like they act cooler. DRG isn't just silly jumps. You don't only do jumps. It's just your big jumps lock you in. Okay. You know, it's to be honest, it's kind of appropriate because when I started Monster Hunter World, I started with hammer, and the thing that sold me on the hammer was the flying jump from the from like sliding down a hill in Monster Hunter World. You got to commit if you jump, but the big jumps look so cool. It's kind of like literally the spiritual successor to the hammer in Monster Hunter for me, because that was like what sold it was if it's now that like jumping is kind of like the jumping attack is kind of integral to Gaijin Hideout. Just don't get hit, easy peasy. All right.
The attention, especially when it drops to the floor, clutching its knee when somebody sneezes on them. Your attacks contribute to a kink bar, which allows you to shame the enemy in a variety of ways, as your katana is also a substitute for a horny bat. So you remember how the monk has a punch card? Well, so do you, except yours is your sword and the punches are stickers. You have 3 basic combos, each one giving you a slight buff and slapping a sticker on
the big jumps do the big damage. Oh, okay.
Your katana. And depending on how many stickers you have, you will get one of 3 different rewards when you turn in your sticker sheet. With 1 sticker, you'll apply a dot that'll last longer than it takes to clean your room. Don't lie to me, I know a majority of my audience has depression. 2 stickers will charge up an AoE around you. And 3 stickers will make...
This looks like Sekiro. This is a lot of animation. Ooh. Who got it? Ooh.
Each sticker attack also gives you an additional separate sticker. And once you have 3 of those, you get to do an additional... And finally, the Reaper, the transfer student from Garlemald who got the rest to mauled at the fact that they think they're better than the rest of the melees. Which I mean they are, but don't let any from Garlemald who got the rest to mauled at the fact that they And finally, the Reaper, the transfer student from Garlemald who got the rest to mauled.
What the hell?
All at the fact that they think they're better than the rest of the melees. Which I mean they are.
Hold on.
But don't let any Reaper hear you say that. It'll go to their heads. Being the darkest and edgiest of melees means that your job...
Edge? They put Edge in the game? You guys didn't tell me that.
Gauge is the Dark Souls HUD. Similar to the Samurai, you build up a bar that can be spent on big slaps. And those big slaps give you edgy boy points that can be spent on additional big slaps.
I can be goth?
Except this time, they're coral blue number 5 semi-gloss lipstick. Once you've kissed enough boys to build up your fashion bar, you get to turn into a spooky ghost. You do the slice. You do the spooky slice. The spooky slice. Now your swings have some spice. You do the slice.
That's a big...
It's just your soul that's the price.
Oh, you are like a little ghost.
You do the spooky slice. And now
Dude,
you know how to play...
that's kind of crazy. I guess Jeff will be Reaper. Dragoon and Reaper share gear? Really? Start as Dragoon, it's practically highway to Reaper? Okay, perfect. They put all the aura... I like that they put all the auraful... jobs together. Reaper is fun. I play it too.
Melee, you're welcome. From the northern snow front of Ilso.
All right, yeah, I'm like kind of hyped about this. Yeah, we can jump around with Dragoon, look badass, see how that goes. Try out Reaper as well. Figure it out. What is it with these ass chaps I just saw? I got to figure out what my identity is gonna be. It looks like you can really dress up your characters and stuff, or a bunch of different ways. That was just melee DPS? Oh my god. Oh, that was the longest video too. Look at that. All right, let's see what else we got.
Everybody likes to do damage, and don't pretend
it's the Kieran pants from World. Oh my god, I thought they looked familiar. And yet like I didn't have the memory because I blocked it out of my brain. Oh my god. Let me see. Reaper is way later in the game, though. Okay. Well, then that's perfect. Well, we can do Dragoon and then Reaper later.
Everybody likes to do damage, and don't pretend like you don't, because I know you're lying. Otherwise, why would you be playing an RPG with core mechanics such as leveling up, getting stronger, and looking fashionable as fuck? It's to do massive numbers on the other guys until their numbers are so small they match the PP size of anybody who doesn't commend at the end of a duty. The other members...
Well, look, as a dual bladesman in Monster Hunter, it's forced me to learn, practice contentment with seeing small numbers, but just really quickly. But trying out the great sword, I see the appeal.
Leaving too quickly is no excuse. How do you expect to move quick enough to avoid AoEs if you can't even move quick enough to tell your allies they're doing a great job and that their glamour is sexy? Is that uncharacteristically nice of me? Maybe, but it means I get to steal the LB3 from the only melee in the group. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy. Today I'm going to be talking about every job. That's right. What, you thought only the DPS have to
Okay, so you got Monster Hunter Fashion, you've got FF14 Glamour. Glamour, interesting.
PS, boy, I could slap you with my overflowing glamour dresser. Damage is the name of the game in Final Fantasy.
Wait, is it called Glamour?
Boy, I could slap you with my overflowing glamour dresser. Damage is the name of the game in Final Fantasy XIV, and the entirety of the game is designed around everybody dealing it, including the tanks and the healers. If the DPS roles are contributing 60% of the damage, tanks and healers are the ones who fill in the other 40. So if you don't contribute, you belong in the garbage chute. So don't get so hung up on the role names. Everybody is a DPS. What I mean specifically is that, one, not only is FF14 a cooperative game, which means anytime you waste is not only yours, but also anybody else in your party as well. And two, every combat feature in FF14 is designed with dealing...
We learned that in the healer video.
...damage in mind. Healers and tanks get skills that actively promote doing more DPS. Hell, Sage is a healer whose skills actively benefit from doing DPS. And most importantly of all, Enrage. Enrage is what happens when you overstay your welcome in a dungeon or boss arena and the residents have run out of things to talk about and are just really ready for you to leave so they can finally go poop without being worried that you're going to steal all their old DreamWorks DVDs. That is to say, you're either forcefully kicked out or alternatively they instantly murder you. How do you prevent this from happening? You murder them first, of course, and then you pop in a copy of Shrek 2 so you can watch the castle siege again. And guess what? The later and later in the game you get, the more and more...
Okay, so it's a bar that fills up slowly over time, and if you don't kill the boss in time, you get blasted out of the dungeon. Is that what I understand? You know what's really messed up?
Frequent and rate a copy of Shrek 2 so they instantly murder you. How do you prevent DVDs? That is to say, you're either forcefully kicked out or alternatively they instantly murder you. How do you prevent this from happening? You murder them first, of course, and then you pop in a...
I will say that these are out of date and 2 jobs have been added since they are super late game though. Viper, a fast-paced dual sword wielder with a snake motif or something. I like dual sword wielders. Pictomancer, an artist mage class with big damage. Okay. You know what's messed up is, you know where I've encountered the one game where I have encountered that concept before is Terra raids, the Terra raids that you would do in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's some deep lore for this channel. Gaijin Hideout, back when I used to stream on YouTube before I understood you should stream on Twitch because it's a lot better. I started out streaming on YouTube and I would stream... we started with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and we would do terror raids every weekend, like how we do group hunting now. I was there for the Terrapagos raid fight, says Kiekba. Yeah, exactly. Terrasilize or die. Yeah, that's the only place where I've had experience. They aped that from a freaking MMO. I'm sure it's like a standard mechanic or something, but I'm like, it's just blowing my mind they got that from an MMO, because if you didn't get rid of the if you didn't take out the monster in time, you would get blasted out of the you would get blasted out of there was a bar that went down, and if your Pokemon fainted, it would chop the bar down by like a sizable amount, and when the bar got all the way down, the Terra monster would blast you out of the cavern. So timers aren't new, no, but it's
copy of Shrek 2 so you can watch the castle siege again.
I can't believe that's where I have that experience from. we gotta get playing more games, man.
Yeah. And guess what? The later and later in the game you get, the more and more frequent enrages start to appear. And they'll have more and more health too. So if somebody decides they just don't feel like they want to cooperate in this team game they decided to play, and now the boss has 1/8 of its health left and is about to destroy the entire universe, Princess Fiona isn't going to be the only one who will need a hero. Hopefully it's been drilled into your head now that DPSing is essential. Not just for the jobs with the title sticker, but also anyone in a fancy robe or edgy trench coat as well. Now that you know that, how does one go about dealing max deeps? The first most basic thing is to do your combos. Press a button. See another button light up? Press that one. Congratulations, you have successfully completed a...
Let me see.
Do your combos. Press a button. See another button light up? Press that one. Congratulations, you have successfully completed a combo. And doing so will reap a myriad of benefits, from putting damage over time on your target, gaining mana, doing your taxes, or any variety of other additional effects. But mostly, it all achieves the same goal of dealing more damage. Secondly,
do they all refresh at the same time? These are all the same ones that you would chain together for the combo, I guess. So you got to wait for it to refresh.
Press these skills that the game labels as abilities and the community
This video feels like it should have been before the other 3.
calls off global cooldowns, or OGCDs for short. More like OGCDs nuts! I personally call them free damage buttons. They cost you nothing and there's literally no reason not to press them while your normal cooldown is rolling. But this one...
Hold on. Sorry, I'm going to need to rewatch parts of this.
Damage. Secondly, you want to press these skills that the game labels as abilities and the community calls off global cooldowns, or OGCDs for short. More like OGCDs nuts! I personally call them free damage buttons. They cost you nothing and there's literally no reason not to press them while your normal cooldown is rolling. But this one has a long cooldown. What if I need it later? No, it doesn't. Shut up. The cooldowns in this game are so short you might as well press them because by the time you need them again, whoop, they're back up. Not to mention, many jobs require you to press those free damage buttons to unlock even spankier damage buttons. So use your goddamn free damage buttons.
Okay.
It's free damage. The next rule of DPSing is knowing your ABCs. Always be casting. This means mashing away at your keyboard like a tickle monster working double time. More specifically, it means that the best way to make sure you are doing the most damage that you can is to always have your global cooldown going. Even if it means accidentally pressing the wrong skill like the single brain cell that you are. Because if you're always pressing buttons, even the suboptimal one, you are doing more damage than if you weren't. And doing damage is always better than not doing damage.
So you're just mashing 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time?
Yes, even Skaith. Here's a live example with my 2 subjects, Jan and Chloe. They both deal 1 million damage and suddenly the boss flies out of melee range. Jan sits there waiting patiently for the boss to return before she can start doing 1 million damage again. Meanwhile, Chloe's pressing the deal 1 damage at a range button the entire time they're waiting. I ask you, puny viewer, which person is dealing more damage right now? Yeah, but it's only 1 damage. Who's dealing more?
So when farming a raid, people will typically repeatedly fight in the same instance until the clock gets really low. Okay. I just click the icons on the screen with my mouse, lol, or yeah, you can use the keyboard. Okay. It depends on your setup. Okay.
Damage? As if any fight is going to get so close that dealing... Who is dealing more damage? Sure, it might not look like much, but it's going to matter when they fight the boss that has 3 million and 2 health and they wipe all because the other DPS decided they don't want to press buttons. It's such little DPS, it won't make a difference? Sure, Jan. Now, one of the best things you should do to improve your damage in Final Fantasy XIV is this. It's really simple. I want you to lean in. It's a super simple thing. Here, come close. I'm going to say the thing. Are you ready? Okay, here it goes. Read your tooltips! The little block of text that literally tells you what your skills do. Honestly, you would be surprised how many people queue into an expert dungeon and never realize they have a skill that can attack multiple targets. Even all the things I tell you in this video, the combos, the range attacks, the AoE damage skills, the free damage buttons. The best way to know what your job is capable of is by reading your job skill tooltips yourself. So you better read your goddamn tooltips because if I see another player not knowing about their AoE combo and a mob pull at level 80, I'm gonna grab the nearest aetherite and bash you so hard you're gonna be teleported to the final resting place of every ERPer's used undergarments. With all that out of the way, you'd think I'd covered everything you need to do to be an ultimate clearing badass, right? Unfortunately, not, Waffle Face, because the final responsibility every single role in Final Fantasy XIV shares is not dying. Oh sure, the healers help, but most of the time your own survival is on you and only you. And that means making sure you do the fight mechanics and don't take avoidable damage like it's got the cheese touch. Oh, I'm sorry, are you in the middle of your cast? You want to try and hit that purple parse like the big man you are? That's too damn bad! Each time you take damage that is avoidable, it means the healer has to heal you and they're dealing less damage. And on top of that, you get this cheese puff called a vulnerability stack. For each stack you have, you take more and more damage until you get one shot when the enemy farts in your general direction. All this to say, if you don't avoid enemy damage, you will not only make the healer do less DPS, but you're also likely going to die, which means 0 DPS. And if you still think that's not a big deal and the healers can just res you, each time you die, you get a dunce cap of Shane that reduces your DPS even more for about as long as a red light in Philadelphia. So you better stay alive or else I'm gonna raise you so I can rescue you into an AoE and kill you myself. To recap, everybody's DPS matters. Press your free damage buttons. Always be casting. Read your tooltips. Stay alive. But even if you keep all those things in mind, the #1 rule to improve your DPS performance is to practice. Striking dummies are all over the goddamn place, out in the overworld, and even in the yards of some random people's houses in the residential districts. So if you see one, there's no shame in whacking it a few times like you're auditioning to be a dominatrix. I'm sure the neighbors won't mind. Practice makes perfect, and even all the foresight in the world will not fully translate into the doing. So go and do that doing so that one day you too can do the do and make everybody
it's the Monster Hunter squad.
else look like doo-doo because of how good your doing skills are.
Or no, sorry. This is Zach. This is Zach squats from Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII.
And with how much doing you'll be doing, maybe someday you too can clear an ultimate and get a shiny-ass weapon of your own to show off to people AFKing at the Limsa Aetherite Plaza. Just know the difference between an amateur and a master is that a master has failed way more times. By the way, get ready for a party wipe. Wait, what? Congratulations, you're now better at the game than you were 5 seconds ago. Oh! And now you know how to DPS, you're welcome. Oh, finally, my Q just popped.
One of my keybinds is all F4 because it is funny. Oh no. I have an MMO mouse with my modifiers keybinded to it, so I basically only press buttons 1 through 6 on my keyboard. Okay. All right, sweet. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds similar in concept to Monster Hunter. Like, need to always be DPSing, getting hit has huge consequences. What was it? Every little bit of DPS matters. Get anything free in that you can. Vaguely, I mean, I get the same general concept. So,
quick announcement: I'm partnering with GamerSups. If you want to try out some tasty energy drink flavors, you can get some free samples, and they even ship worldwide. If you like it and want more, use the code JOCAT for 10% off. Turn around every now and then.
This one is ranged DPS.
I get a little bit tired of being counted on to do complex tasks that involve more than it takes to eat a bowl of mushy cereal. In fact, I don't even feel motivated to hear what my allies need of me. I'm just gonna sit all the way over here, enjoying my Lucky Charms, alone. And if things go wrong, I'll have to rely on the ever-reliable American method. I already see absolutely no negative consequences. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
Nice. Gun time. Gun time. This is a nice little added effect here, the reflection and the text on the water.
I'm sick of having to dodge so many up-close AoEs. The boss keeps doing them, and I have to keep moving away to avoid getting splatted. And then I have to resort to the equivalent of throwing marshmallows that will scratch the enemy about as hard as a massage therapist with germophobia. I'm trying to beat them into submission, not soften their tenders. What's that I hear you say? There's an option to give me the ability to do max deeps even when I'm disconnected from the boss like an internet provider out in the country? Of course there is. I was just getting to it, and I'll thank you not to interrupt me again. The physical range DPS, or just range for short. Physically throwing my spleen into the splattering range of the near semi.
What if stab but far away?
Cousin of the melee, and is the most important person in the party, since you are the least likely to get a commission in the end. And we thank you for.
What do queues mean here? Someone said DPS queues. Nothing will take as long as the Endwalker release world queues. What are queues for? I honestly feel like MMOs are perfect for me, but I can't get into them because I feel like I'm cutting out other games in the process due to the commitment. Yeah, that's how I feel too. Or that's how I felt for a while too. But then I ran out of time for anything more than one game at a time. So I just I'm sort of embracing it finally. So.
Providing such a valiant service, as there always needs to be someone in last place. Your role is all about keeping your uptime going, and although yes, every other role is also about trying to do that, you have absolutely no excuse for messing up. The gimmick of the ranged DPS is that you don't have to worry about any positionals or cast times and can run around the arena like an indecisive artist in a Hobby Lobby. You get to stay at a safe distance, and if there's ever a pissy puddle underneath your feet, moving out of the way won't risk you doing suboptimal damage. So what's the catch? Nobody gets off scot-free in this game, as all roles have their stonks and stinks. Tanks have the responsibility of dancing with the boss. Healers have to share gear models with the magic DPS that have been dyed white, and you will have to suffer the nail-pulling drawback known as the range tax. To balance for the fact that you have nearly no limitations on your mobility, your damage will be on average slightly less than both the melee and magic DPS jobs. And hell, sometimes even some tanks with their openers that'll put down bosses faster than PETA when it finds a stray. The range tax, although real, will make a tiny droplet of difference in the grand scheme of things, and if you pick a range job and feel as though you're being outdone by your peers, odds are you were probably doing badly anyway, and the reason you have trouble jumping over that hurdle is just because your toes were too big and floppy that you would have tripped over every single one so badly anyway. Discovery Channel would decide to make a show about whether or not you're real. Let me summarize. If you do bad, it's a skill issue. Nevertheless, the same rules as any role applies in the fact that you should...
Oh, so Q's is teaming up for dungeons and raids and all that. Okay.
Stay out of the piss puddles wherever possible. Even more so considering you're wearing Heelys and by all rights should be able to avoid any and every possible puddle and be the nicest smelling at the party, which is important because the healers only have so much nasal tolerance. Lucky for you, each range also has a bottle of perfume to spray that will at least mask the piss smell a bit. The final shared utility in the belt of the Black Man is the Limit Break, which although does not do as much single target damage as the melee, has the benefit of being able to hit multiple targets in a line like a really violent high-five target damage. The final shared utility in the belt of the Black Man is the Limit Break, which although does not do as much single target damage as the melee, has the benefit of being able to hit multiple targets in a line like a really violent high-five surfer. The range roster is a trio of performers, each one skilled in a different charismatic art, and each one a different flavor of slutty. First is the bard, where your bow is your harp. Also, your harp is your harp, because with this job you get a bunch of instruments you can play, including these obnoxiously loud drums. You are one of the few jobs with the endangered species known as, including the bard performers, each one skilled in a different charismatic art, and each one a different flavor of slutty. First is the bard, where your bow is...
Oh, so to enter dungeons and the world, you are put on a virtual line essentially. Healers have the fastest queues because they are rare and needed more often. DPS are the most common and have the longest queues. World queues take a few seconds max, except for during the Endwalker expansion release. Tank and healer instant queues. Okay. Tank and healer instant queues. Gotcha. DPS dungeon queues can and will be mitigated by pre-grouping with one of us. Oh, okay, nice. Okay, cool.
Your harp. Also, your harp is your harp, because with this job, you get a bunch of instruments you can play, including these obnoxiously loud drums. You are one of the few jobs with the endangered species known as the damage over time skill, and your main attack involves firing a single arrow repeatedly until a bigger, cooler arrow gets jealous and sometimes asks to be fired too. But not all the time, because it's not like it likes to be shot or anything. You also have a bunch of songs to play that will make everyone in the party hear a remix of their opening theme. And everybody knows when the opening kicks on, you deal more damage. Because you're the one playing them, you also get your own special benefits, you filthy, dirty performer, you. A song that sometimes lets you shoot more arrows when it feels like giving you some, a song that makes you shoot faster, and a song that lets you shoot more arrows when it feels like giving you some, but a little bit different. All this arpeggios to a crescendo into a grand finale where you fire a big ol' arrow. And if you've played all your songs, you have the ability to face roll your piano and startle your party into doing even more damage. I said hit harder! Now hold on to those notes there, partner. Masaka. For the machinist's main attack, it uses a gun. The most selfish of the range classes, where the name of the game is... and the name is labeled on a box called Your Doom, being shipped to the enemy at terminal velocity. What you sacrifice in party buffs you make up for in big... having 3 giant bullets and a bunch of smaller, higher frequency bullets. Doing your normal 1, 2, 3 will get your gun very hot and bothered until it's riled up enough to rapid fire its red hot goodness. And if you make sure to toss your special toy into the mix, it can end in an explosive finish. Keep up that momentum, and eventually you can even invite your queen to join in the fun. Hey, I hear she's got multiple frequency settings. All this might make you feel like you're not contributing as much, but no need to be nervous. Lucky for you, this job comes with extra protection. But you
I think overall this one's not for me.
You can be won over by some flashy lights and pretty songs. You want passion, romance, a partner who can live up to your standards. The dancer forgoes buffing the entire party or focusing on doing its own damage and instead picks one party member, one extra special, extra spicy, extra sexy partner in crime to give a super buff in damage in the form of 2 extra flashy minigames of Simon Says. And then you do a little bit of blending and sending the bodies flying. They're dying to birdies that give them birdies. And afterwards, it's just a matter of praying to RNGesus to bless your twinkle toes, because from there, it's all coin flips all the time. Your rotation is a 1 and a 2 that can coin flip into a 3 and a 4, and both of those can coin flip into either a single target or AoE 5, which itself is a coin flip into a possible 6. Then once you're in rhythm, your spinnies will kill them that dance in the wind like that million ribbons and kicking and flipping.
Oh my goodness.
Into your allies so they can annihilate all that's left. Yay, now they're dead. And now you know how to play ranged. You're welcome.
Oh my gosh. That was okay. That was a lot to process. I'm still thinking about my general DPS. I think for me, yeah, that one's fine. I don't want to be ranged. I think that's how I feel. There. Okay, let's do this.
Do you believe in magic wearing a massive hat? It's a difficult skill and time-consuming at that, and it's magic, the explodious kind. The best role to make your party go fully blind. I'll tell you about the magic if you insist I must, but if I stand in AoEs, the healer's got to adjust.
Healers, why didn't you adjust?
Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
What did you say, Lucian? Back during the release of Endwalker World, Q was well in the thousands, meaning it could take 6+ hours to log in. This was due to the major hype going on at the time, DDoS strikes, and Squeenix being altogether unprepared for the popularity craze. They had to stop selling the game for a few weeks to do damage control. Oh my gosh. So do you always have to be queuing up to be in a team of players, or is it just like I don't like well, wait, you guys said that the AI sucks, right? So are people always queuing up for dungeons and things like that to progress, even to progress the story? People are queuing up. I mean, if you play in a party, you can probably just jump in. Oh, okay.
The last group of the derps per Cirque's job is the magical range DPS, or just magic for short. Look at the hat, nothing up my sleeves. You are the most important person in the party, because when the going gets tough, a big hat is required, and the amount of damage you do is proportionally connected to the size of your brim. Where the melee is sniffing up the boss's farts and the range are shouting yo mama jokes while making love to the arena's boundaries, you are the healthy middle, standing your ground till you go down to Pound Town when you found the sound that makes the bad guys frown. You don't do as much damage on average as the melees, instead to trade it off for the utility of being able to attack at a range from anywhere in the arena, with one major difference from your physical range cousin, the cast bar. That little lightish red loading beam that you see just about every other main story quest when you have to search a suspicious bush. push or scout out for the next place thancred will find yet another new color of depression. Most of your skills require you to stand perfectly still in order to have your big numbers to go off, and if you so much as special edition Han Solo your neck to get a better angle at your hot naked tank, your skill stops and everybody sees how you are no longer looking respectfully. Luckily, every single casting job usually has a lewd calendar's worth of tools to circumvent you having to staple your feet to the floor, which does mean in order to up your mobility without losing out on DPS, you'll need to learn the right sequence of buttons to press like you're playing a 7-dimensional accordion. That said, there's one universal trick to upping your mobility no matter the job, and that's the maneuver known as the slide casting. Though you normally have to wait for the entirety of the cast bar to complete. Little known fact, once it reaches about 4/5 of the
Billy Ragnarok. We're actually on the last one of the craft guide to Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah.
way through, you need no longer restrain your movements as though your feet were sweating Gorilla Glue, and you can afford a small amount of movement without losing possible uptime. Cool tip, this applies not only to the magic DPS, but any skill for any job that has a cast bar, so you can even be a sliding, slicing samurai. The magic limit break, similar to the range DPS, is an AoE that deals less base damage than the melees, but can hit multiple targets. In this case, a massive circle instead, and now you can make fun of the boss for not moving out of the obviously telegraphed danger puddle for a change. Boy, do I love throwing stones out of my glass house. The family of magic is made up of 3 siblings. Okay, that's a lie, it's actually 4, but the smallest one kind of went a weird career path, and they're not often invited to the New Year's parties. The Black Mage is a fantastic job if you're a fan of Cookie Clicker, because you're pressing the same button over and over again ad nauseum to see big number go brrrr. During rotation, you start out headbanging explosions at the bad guy like a... until you're completely out of mana. Then you go into a goth phase, where you chug a bunch of cold energy drinks, getting you back to peak performance, where you can go back to... Although you have tools to keep yourself mobile like the other mages, you will often be the least dancy and find yourself pitching a tent like you just discovered the sniper tower on Rust. It also wins the award for having the... slowest.
Oh.
Leveling.
Oh.
Experience.
Fire and ice baby, says Black Mage.
Ever. Next is a summoner who has gone through so many...
The problems come for single raid series called Coils, the hardcore stuff, and select old mid-core stuff. We do have a system to search for other players doing those specific things called Party Finders. Party Finder. Okay. Black Mage no longer needs to maintain a timer. Okay.
reworks that odds are, but... Ever. Next is a summoner who has gone through so many reworks that odds are by the time this video is published, it'll have already been changed into a tank job with 4 dots and another job stone. You summon the dragon that nearly destroyed the world 5 years ago, which some may consider in poor taste if they happen to have a loved one's name written in the 7th Umbral Calamity Memorial Museum. And after you're done making them relive their trauma, get to double, triple, and quadruple down on using avatars of terror by summoning life-size copies of 3 monstrosities that killed a lot of innocent people. Chili Boy gives you slow summoning life-size copies of 3 monstrosities that killed a lot of innocent...
I saw her in Final Fantasy 16.
People. Chili Boy gives you slow casts and a gap closer. Thick Thigh Bird Woman killed a lot of innocent people. Chili Boy gives you slow casts and a gap closer. Thick Thigh Bird Woman drops a mildly uncomfortable breeze, and she, as well as Chicken Nugget, turns you into a physical range DPS, where you no longer have to worry about the cast bar anymore. Suck it, Black Mage. After you're finished offending the local countryside, you bring out a big Firebird that'll restore the party's health. Hey, if you're gonna make range DPS obsolete, might as well do the same for healers too, right? Lastly, the Red Mage, the most fashionable job. You steal gimmicks from everybody else like you're a YouTuber wanting to make more than minimum wage. You've got a heal like a white mage, but a little bit less thick. You've got explosions like a black mage, but a little bit less... And you even get a backflip to your death like a dragoon, but a little bit more sexy. In combat, you flip between using black and white magic attacks in order to build up a mana gauge to spend slashing your sword with a whole lot of sexual tension. Maybe lifting the enemy's chin with the tip of it, saying some threatening innuendo while you're at it. What makes you special, aside from the sick drip and stylish moves, is that after each spell you hardcast with a cast bar, any spell that follows is instant, meaning you only have to sit still about half of the time. Suck it, Black Mage. This also means you're even more efficient at raising down allies than the healer, since you have essentially infinite swift casts, and the only thing holding you back is the fact that rezzing the whole party will suck you dry like you're an anime boy with no eyes. Red Mage's limit break is also special in that it... Think fast, Jungle Arts! And now you know how to... Yeah, I didn't forget. I was just hoping that you had. Playing Blue Mage is only a portion of the Blue Mage experience. The rest of it...
Looking up what spells are available to learn, reaching the enemy that uses the spell, Failing to learn the spell, realizing the spell sucks, and is not useful in 90% of scenarios.
Starting sentences involving the job with the words "what about." Yes, though it may be classified in the magical range DPS category, blue is unique in the fact that 1, to blue mage is to suffer, and 2, it is considered a limited job, so it has to sit in the corner all by itself while the rest of the kids on the playground actually get to hang out. You are unable to play blue mage with the other jobs in most level synced and current content, especially high-end stuff like savage raids and ERP. Why is this? Because if it weren't, whoever's in charge...
This was the job I said we wouldn't talk about, lol. Did they just, like, screw this one up?
Of designing and balancing especially high-end stuff like savage raids and ERP. Why is this? Because if it weren't, whoever's in charge of designing and balancing the elaborate and complex boss fights at Square Enix would probably be under suicide watch. The blue mage's unique power is that it can learn a ton of skills, spells, and abilities from the various enemies and bosses in the game, including but not limited to...
Oh, that's cool.
There's Ultra Vibration and Rose of Destruction and Sticky Tongue Snore Mustard Bomb, Abyssal Transfixation, Quasar Malediction of Water and Fire and Gone, Peculiar Life...
Okay, I want to say it's been a really long time since I played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on the Game Boy Advance. But I remember red mages being kind of a more dynamic mage that I think could move again or something like that. They could chain their cast together. It sounded similar to what they were talking about for 14. And I'm now remembering, I think Blue Mage was the one that could like copy people's abilities, and it was a cool concept, and I never used it. I feel like that happens in a lot of Final Fantasy games. There's like a few classes that are really cool, and they just don't pan out.
Abyssal Transfixation, Quasar Malediction of Water and Fire, Destruction bosses in the game, including but not limited to, can learn a ton of skills, spells, and abilities from the various enemies and bosses in the game,
So you can learn from the bosses?
But not limited to.
You played Final Fantasy VII, right? I played the remake. I played a little bit of the original, too. The enemy skill materia was blue magic. Oh, yeah. I never used it, I don't think.
There's Ultra Vibration and Rose of Destruction and Sticky Tongue Snore Mustard Bomb, Abyssal Transfixation, Quasar Malediction of Water and Fire and Gone, Peculiar Light Feather Rain.
Or like in other games, I think maybe it was like a Beast Tamer. I don't know if it was like that in a Square Enix, or in a Final Fantasy game, but I know it was like that in Octopath Traveler. You had the Beast Tamer. That was cool. You were like capturing the different beasts, and then you had a certain number of uses for each one. For a certain number of that beast would give you an attack or two, maybe, and you had a certain number of uses before that beast ran out, and you had to go catch more. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's a bit different to blue magic, but I guess similar.
Malediction of Water and Fire and Gone, Peculiar Light Feather Rain and Shock Strike, Song of Torment and Basic Instinct, Flying Frenzy and Loom Acorn Bomb Sonic Boom, Flying Sardine J-Kid Final Sting, Triple Trident and White Wind and Level 5 Petra 5000 Needles kinda sucks. There's Jet and Fates and Transfusion and Blaze, Joko Meteor and Self-Destruct. And now you know how to play Magic. You're welcome.
Okay. Aren't they adding Beast Tamer at some point to 14? Good question, Wano. I don't know. They said so, but who knows? Okay. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Summoner seemed pretty cool.
After you're done making them
this seems really freaking cool.
Relive their trauma, get to double, triple, and quadruple down.
Which I had guessed, I predicted ahead of time was like, yeah, Summoner is always inherently awesome.
Avatars of terror by summoning life-size
I don't know how cool it is in practice,
that killed a lot of
but that's fucking badass.
Innocent people. Chili Boy gives you slow casts and a gap closer. Thick Thigh Bird Woman drops a mildly uncomfortable breeze, and she, as well as Chicken Nugget, turns you into a physical ranged DPS.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You have the ranged, and then like the mage is effectively the in between the DPS and the range. That's interesting. Summon is fun. If you level Scholar, you get Summoner. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's one to keep in mind. Yeah, I think overall we're definitely I think that was the last one, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say overall, definitely leaning towards DPS, melee DPS, for sure. I'm pretty sure we want to do the Dragoon situation. So yeah, I think we want to do Dragoon, and then especially because it can go into Reaper at some point, which also looked badass. But then we could look at Summoner at some point. So I guess I don't know if I gave the ranged ones a fair shot. I just kind of spaced out when I got to it because I was already absorbing all the DPS concepts for melee, and then like I don't know, I got to ranged and it was like, what were they again? I just kind of started zoning out, to be honest. Like I was like, oh, this is going to be a whole different thing. I don't think I want to be on the edge of the battlefield. It was dancer and like bard and gun, right? Gun
Giant bullets and a bunch of small.
Gun didn't blow my mind as much as I thought it would. Let me
the range
look at
classes
gun
where the
again.
name of the game is. And the name is labeled on a box called Your Doom being shipped to the enemy at terminal velocity. What you sacrifice in party buffs you make up for in big. Having 3 giant bullets and a bunch of smaller, higher frequency bullets. Doing your normal 1, 2, 3 will get your gun very hot and bothered until it's riled up enough to rapid fire its red hot goodness. And if you make sure to toss your special toy into the mix, it can end in an explosive finish. Keep up that momentum and eventually you can even invite your queen to join in the fun. Hey, I hear she's got multiple frequency settings. All this might make you feel like you're not contributing as much, but no need to be nervous. Lucky for you, this job comes with extra protection. But you are not some simpleton who can be won over by some flashy lights and pretty songs.
Yes,
you want passion, romance, a partner. 2 extra flashy minigames of
and then this is the dancing one. Okay, yeah, no, I they're just not flashy enough for me. I'm just I'm shallow enough. I don't think they're flashy enough for me. I don't know if I want to hug the edge. I like the DPS. I like the jump. I guess the jumping's growing on me, but you know, I like the big DPS and big animation. I think that's good. Dancer do be flashy. Yeah, but that's not the kind of flashy I'm going for. But yeah. So yeah, I think in conclusion, we're doing.
Everyone always says you should be a team player, but
where is he? We're doing Dragoon, man. I mean, Dragoon looked fucking awesome. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that into Reaper. I think we're gonna do that. And see how that goes. But it's cool that you can try out whichever one you want. So anyways, if you're seeing this in the future, let me know what your favorite what your favorite job is in the comments down below. And, tell me what you think about my choice. We're going to aim for next Saturday, which will be it'll be the 6th, September 6th, or in the afternoon. Kind of like I'm aiming for 3 p.m. EST right now, but I don't want to commit to it just yet because we're coming up with the schedule on the fly at the time of the recording. But we're aiming for next Saturday afternoon to try Final Fantasy XIV for the first time. So, but yeah, thanks so much for watching. Peace out.